What happens when a political system that has dominated a country for more than a decade faces its first serious generational challenge? And can a youth-driven movement actually overturn an entrenched leadership? In Hungary, where Prime Minister Viktor Orbán has held power for 16 years, a recent poll shows that 65% of voters under 30 now support a new opposition force, while only 14% back the incumbent. This video examines how this shift emerged, what is driving it, and what could change depending on the outcome of the April 12th election. If this political shift succeeds, it could mark the first transition away from Orbán's governance model since 2010, potentially altering Hungary's position within Europe. If it fails, it may reinforce a system that has already demonstrated resilience against opposition movements. If the contest remains close, it could deepen internal divisions between generations, regions, and political identities. At stake is not only domestic leadership, but also Hungary's alignment within broader European and global political structures. To understand the current moment, it is necessary to look at Hungary's political trajectory since the end of the Cold War. Orbán first rose to prominence in the late 1980s as part of a generation that opposed Soviet-backed socialist rule. His party, Fidesz, originally positioned itself as a liberal youth movement. Over time, particularly after returning to power in 2010, Orbán reshaped both the party and the state, advancing what he has described as an illiberal model of governance. This model emphasizes national sovereignty, centralized authority, and a departure from certain liberal democratic norms associated with the European Union. Over the past decade, Orbán's government has implemented policies that critics argue have consolidated control over media, judiciary, and state institutions, while supporters point to economic stability measures and social policies, including tax exemptions for families and financial support for homebuyers. These policies have maintained strong backing among older voters, particularly retirees, where polling indicates support for Fidesz at around 50% compared to 19% for the opposition. The current challenge to Orbán's leadership is being led by Péter Magyar, a 45-year-old lawyer and former insider within the Fidesz system. His political movement, the TISA Party, emerged rapidly after a political scandal in February 2024, involving a presidential pardon linked to a child abuse case. The fallout from that event led to the resignation of the president and justice minister, both closely associated with Orbán's government. This moment acted as a catalyst, opening political space and drawing new participants, particularly younger voters, into active engagement. Magyar's campaign has focused on several key themes, including restoring Hungary's alignment with Western institutions, addressing corruption concerns, and unlocking European Union funds that have been withheld over rule of law disputes. His messaging has resonated strongly with younger voters, who have grown up entirely under Orbán's leadership and are comparing domestic conditions with neighboring countries. Increased access to information and travel has allowed this demographic to evaluate differences in infrastructure, healthcare, and governance across borders. Recent developments illustrate the scale and intensity of this shift. In the 2024 European Parliament elections, TISA secured approximately 30% of the vote within 3 months of its formation, signaling rapid mobilization. Large-scale protests, led by influencers and civil society groups, drew tens of thousands, marking a turning point in political participation. At the same time, Orbán has maintained strong support in rural areas and among older demographics, creating a clear electoral divide. This divide is not only political, but structural. Younger voters tend to prioritize transparency, institutional accountability, and integration with European systems, while older voters often emphasize stability, social benefits, and continuity. The result is a polarized electorate where age becomes a significant predictor of political preference. Analysts such as Andrea Szabo from Eötvös-Loránd University have identified this as the emergence of a new political generation, distinct from the one that shaped Hungary's transition from socialism. One possible scenario is that TISA converts its polling advantage among younger voters into a broader electoral coalition, securing enough support across age groups and regions to win the election. In this case, Hungary could experience a policy shift toward closer alignment with the European Union, efforts to address corruption concerns, and potential institutional reforms. This would also signal to other countries that long-standing political systems can be challenged through generational change. A second scenario is that Orban retains power, leveraging his established support base, organizational strength, and influence in rural constituencies. In this outcome, the current governance model would likely continue, and the opposition's surge could be contained. However, the underlying generational divide would remain, potentially leading to ongoing political tension and periodic challenges. A third scenario involves a closely contested result that produces political fragmentation or instability. If neither side achieves a decisive mandate, Hungary could face prolonged negotiations, contested legitimacy, or shifts in coalition dynamics. This would introduce uncertainty, not only domestically, but also in Hungary's relations with European institutions and international partners. The geopolitical implications extend beyond Hungary's borders. Orban's government has pursued closer relations with Russia and China, while maintaining a more confrontational stance toward certain European Union policies. A change in leadership could recalibrate these relationships, influencing regional dynamics within Central and Eastern Europe. Conversely, continuity would reinforce existing alignments and contribute to ongoing debates within the EU about governance standards and political integration. At the same time, this election reflects a broader pattern seen in multiple countries, where younger generations are increasingly active in shaping political outcomes. The Hungarian case is distinctive because of the duration of Orban's rule and the extent to which political identity has become tied to generational experience. Those who remember the transition from socialism may prioritize stability differently than those who have only known the current system. The key variables to watch include voter turnout among younger demographics, the ability of TISA to expand beyond its core base, and the effectiveness of Fidesz's mobilization in rural areas. The interaction between these factors will determine whether the polling trends translate into actual electoral change. In the end, this moment is less about a single election and more about the evolution of political systems over time. Power structures that appear stable can be reshaped by demographic shifts, economic conditions, and critical events. Whether Hungary experiences continuity or change, the underlying dynamics revealed in this election will continue to influence its political trajectory.